How you doing, Jason?
I'm really good. We've had a really good and busy 24 hours.
72 hours.
The podcast went live yesterday, Thursday the 18th. We're recording this podcast on Friday the 18th. And I had to remember what day it was. I can't actually remember what day it is these days. But yeah, it's been a crazy and exciting time, a long time building up for this.
Yeah, because if you think about it, we as of recording at the moment, we launched the podcast just over 24 hours ago. And it has been 14 months in the making since we officially talked about it on a drunken night in Box.
Yeah, with a couple Venoms in hand.
Yeah.
It was a drunken Tuesday night after a little videographer meetup, talking all about the industry and yeah, we just thought that would be a super cool podcast to do.
Yeah.
And here we are with all the branding, the table, the studio. I mean, we didn't even have the studio then. So
no,
it's come a long way. It's inspired a lot of decisions that we've made over the last year.
Yeah.
A lot of expensive decisions.
Very expensive decisions with another very expensive, ludicrous decision pending, but we'll come back to that in a little bit.
That'll be worth it.
It'll be worth it. Yeah. I mean, I hope so, because if not, biggest waste of money ever. But never mind. So we launched the podcast officially yesterday, and since then, what's it been like?
I mean, I've turned notifications on Instagram off, just to keep myself focused, because the amount of editing I still need to do is crazy. And I'm just like, oh, what you said? Oh, are you enjoying it?
It's fine. I'll reply to you.
You've been on it. It's quite interesting when you share an Instagram account with someone and you go on and you realize, oh, I've got no notifications. It's because Danny's read them all. Messaged
I
everyone.
am here to chat to you all.
So I've been keeping up to date with that, and it's been so humbling, and also you're meeting people that you've not spoken to before, as well, that are coming in and finding you, and that's exciting because there's so many amazing creatives in this industry, and starting something like this is an opportunity to meet new people, learn from new people, and it's just super exciting. I've always wanted to have or be part of a podcast, and it exceeded expectations.
Massively, because we've had over 200 downloads within the first 24 hours, which is incredible. Like, I honestly was not expecting anywhere near that. I would have been happy with 5. So to have over 200 of you listening in and giving us your feedback and sending in voice notes, and it's been incredible. Mm-hmm. We do have one voice note, though, that particularly stood out.
Tell me you liked the podcast without telling me you liked the podcast. I'll go first. So I had to get the train from Glasgow to Edinburgh today for a client meeting. So once the meeting was finished, I jumped back on the train to head back to Glasgow. I saw your guys' stories about the podcast and I thought, perfect, I've got some colour grading to do. I'll get a couple of episodes done. I was really excited to listen. So that was me beavering away on my laptop, all good. And then I see the train is grinding to a halt. So I'm like, oh, perfect. My stop's here. I'm getting out of Glasgow. I get out the train and I'm back in Edinburgh. I kid you not. So the podcast was so good. I managed to get through 4 episodes and didn't even realise that I went back on myself and did an entire new journey back to Edinburgh and didn't even notice.
Is that called Inception?
Got cut off there, but yeah, that was my day. Great waste of time, but also got the colour grading done, and so nice to listen to you guys. There were some really good nuggets in there, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, well done, and can't wait to listen to some more.
I mean, that's what we're here for.
I mean, yeah, we are here to disrupt your travel plans. And,
living in your head rent-free.
How good is that? It's so good.
Can you imagine, though? Like, actually
you'd be absolutely raging.
I mean, I've fallen asleep on the train and I've woken up there, but I've never consciously been awake working.
And just went, this train journey's taking an awful long time.
It's like having a conversation with like a stranger on the train that's so enthralling that you realise, oh, Actually,
I'm in Newcastle.
I haven't really. Jeez. Oh, I mean, that was fun.
I could not stop laughing when I got that. That's when I sent it to you. I was like, go and listen to this voice note. And yeah, the two of us were just chuckling away.
Amazing. I mean, I feel guilty.
Yeah. Not really.
Like, we're not reimbursing you or anything. But imagine the conversation with the ticket conductor. By the way, like, I'm not even meant to do this trade. This podcast was just so good that I just stayed on. I just stayed on. So yeah, perfect listening conditions is the train apart.
Absolutely. So keep them coming.
Yeah, please, like,
but
keep
please
all the voice notes.
Try and look out the window on the train from now and then to see where your next stop is.
The next stop is That Wedding Videographer Podcast.
Welcome to That Wedding Videographer Podcast. I'm Danny.
And I'm Jace. And we have both had a similar journey when it comes to how we've got here in some respects.
In some respects, yeah.
And I think that comes down to the education that we have invested in.
Yeah. Not even the education that we've invested in. Like, obviously, that has had a part to play in it, but the free education as well.
Yeah, I think
it's been huge. I
think we've always had an interest in bettering ourselves.
Yeah.
And that comes from looking at YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, and then even diving into, once we've found someone that, you know, is kind of speaking to us on a different level, we're like, yeah, okay, I want to hear more from that. I want to kind of get a one-to-one experience.
Yeah.
It's not really something when I started that I thought would actually be available for something as niche as this.
No, I didn't really think of it. Because if I think back to like when I first started, because there was a time when I didn't have the camera and my GH5 at the time, Panasonic oil the whole way. And I didn't have the camera and I needed to learn how to use it because I had a shoot coming up that I had planned. So I learned basically how to use the camera through YouTube so that by the time I actually got the camera, I kind of knew how to. I obviously didn't have it in my hand, but I knew all the menu settings and where I had to go for certain things and the settings that I had to plug into it. So that was a massive, massive help. And YouTube has a great resource of information that you can choose from. I'd say the only downside with YouTube is it's hard to, like, when you're looking for a specific point, it can be quite hard to find that specific thing that you're looking for because there's so much like filler.
Yeah. It's almost hard to know what you're actually searching for. I find this when I was learning editing, I didn't quite know what that technique was called. I was like typing into YouTube, how do I make this scene sparkle but also fade away to the left and then zoom up and down?
Like, good luck with that. Good luck with that search.
Bingo, got it. That's an epic keyword. It's, you know, you're not gonna have too much
competition.
Before
you know it, you've got like My Little Pony coming up or something with the sprinkles.
We need to do better at like naming, like editing techniques and giving them names.
Yeah.
Like if there's little trick shots that
the Ken Burns.
Yeah, something like that.
So random.
So random. So it was difficult learning that, but you know, I spent so long looking at editing tutorials and like how to build story and things like that. YouTube's such a great resource for any education. I think anyone knows that already, but I'm always constantly surprised at the kind of content that you can find on YouTube that just matches whatever you're into. Like when I started this, I just want to see a POV of someone working at a wedding, just to find any relatability. And it was amazing how little stuff there was back then. Now there's plenty of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the editing thing as well, because I think if you're someone that's new into the industry, because if I think about me and my journey, so I'd second shot, I think I'd said before in a podcast, so it was David from Arrow Productions who had seen me do a couple of engagement shoots online, told me to come to do weddings with him, brought me along to a couple, which I'm very grateful for essentially just getting me into wedding filmmaking. But I wasn't really terribly keen on it at the time, but he was like, you need to come. So I came, I started doing a bit of shooting, but obviously as a second shooter, you're not getting to edit the films. So when it came round that I had a little bit of a portfolio, because I'd also kind of like I'd shot our friend's wedding at the time. And I'd done like a little bit of kind of editing, but I wasn't really too clued up on like how do you sort the story out, or you know, it was a little bit, what my initial attempts were a little bit mishmashy. So it was during lockdown. It was Adam Wing who had his course that he started, he created it during lockdown. And I bought that course, and oh my goodness, that literally just gave me it was like the blueprint of how to actually like edit a wedding film. And it was brilliant, because for somebody that had no insider knowledge into how that operated, that was just like, oh my God, this is phenomenal, getting all this information at what was not it wasn't terribly expensive really for the value that I got out of it. It wasn't majorly expensive, but it done so much for me. So yeah, thank you, Adam, for making that.
Yeah, I think there's not really a university of wedding videographers. Like it doesn't really exist. You don't go and study this. You can study how to do film. You can study how to operate cameras, but wedding videography definitely is learned. Majority of people learn it through experience. Like from my background, obviously I was a second shooter for so long, and I was basically taught how to shoot a wedding from that company's style until I went out myself and did it. But like you, I didn't do any editing for weddings, so I had no idea about what shots I should be getting or how long I should be holding shots. Like the simple art
or the pan.
Yeah, or the pan. Yeah. Oh my God,
don't do the
pan. Yeah.
Although you pan now, but it works for your style, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
but you pan.
Pan whip.
Yeah, pan whip.
Yeah, something like that. The simple art of pressing record immediately after a clip. What am I trying to say here?
Hold it for 5 seconds.
Hold it for 5 seconds. Yeah. There you go.
Once they say cut, hold it 5 more seconds.
That's it. That's on the Scottish Wedding Videographer Facebook page. That's the tagline.
And it's true. It's so good. True. It's good advice.
It's so true, because when I started editing my own weddings, I was like, oh, why have I made this so difficult for myself? And a lot of people who just shoot weddings don't actually realize how difficult it is to edit footage if you haven't actually thought about the edit as well. So that definitely was something that people struggle with at the beginning. My sort of journey into finding people that kind of inspired me, like I had a bunch of adverts where the How to Film Weddings team were there, and they were the first, because when I first started, there wasn't many podcasts about it. There was one, but the episodes had been uploaded years ago, and the How to Film Weddings were just this team that were constantly uploading some really useful conversations at the time for me. So I found it really relatable. And it was the first kind of community where they were actively talking about the things that I wanted to do. Yeah. I think there were forums around here, but they were mainly just focused on getting other people work rather than how can I make myself better.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my introduction into education. And I think I just became so obsessed with it because I knew by applying what other people were saying, I was going to speed up a lot faster. And that's definitely what changed me from the decision of, right, I need better cameras to, I need to improve my branding.
Yeah.
That's kind of what forced me to go down that direction.
Yeah. I think the great thing about things like that and having access to those people is because you learn from their experience, their lived experience of having X amount of years. So you just, by getting access to people like that in education, it speeds up your growth massively. Because I know personally I wouldn't have been able to have the growth that I've had, for instance, without Adam's course and obviously having access to some of the other stuff that I've had access to, you know, like through, you know, How to Film Weddings and stuff like that, because it has been good. And obviously, I think we probably both agree though that there definitely has been. It's because the markets are different, it can be hard to relate to some of the information that you get. You almost need to like take it and then go, okay, how does that fit over here?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was definitely the initial thing. I thought what they were saying, what they were saying you could potentially achieve, I had to kind of take with a pinch of salt because, you know, obviously when I was brand new to the industry, I kind of thought, well, maybe that is. And then you try and achieve that and you realize and understand what this market is actually like. It's completely different. It's a sixth or a seventh of the size that the US market is, if you think about it, with the populations of our country. Plus, I believe that they've got access to more of a global market than we do, potentially. like if you go to South America, North America, like it's even bigger than that. So it's a completely different market. Obviously, weddings are kind of structured differently over there as well. So there is a lot to essentially what I liked about it was just the fact that people were actually talking about it. I think it was the first sort of group of people that I found who were actively talking about different techniques to improve yourself as a wedding videographer. And that's what I really liked about it. And I kind of stayed attached to the American podcast for a while until I realized that actually I need something different. And that's where I've been glad that there's been more and more UK videographers coming out and actually speaking about their experience and launching new workshops and stuff for us to attend.
Yeah. Oh, no, definitely, because there's the new one, the CODA.
CODA is a wedding videographer conference that's happening in Birmingham in October. I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday the 22nd. Tickets aren't available as yet. So it's Roostain and Nine Dots that have come together to create this wedding videographer conference down in Birmingham.
Yeah.
They've already announced a few speakers. You've got Russell Kent Nichols, Costa Sisters, I believe, are included in that as well.
Timegate Films, and then you've also got Bronte from Tinderbox, who is a fellow panny shooter, who has awesome work as well. She is really, really good. She's hilarious as well.
Panasonic Revolution is on.
Yes. did chat to me about advice from jumping ship from Sony to Panny. But
there you go.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, another person flying the flag for Lumix, and of course Russell Kent Nichols, who is awesome as well.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds very exciting. I think there's obviously been photographer conferences going for a while. Thrive is a big one that I think everyone is aware of, but there hasn't necessarily been a wedding videographer specific one. So this is really exciting. And
really exciting.
We're both signed up to newsletters. Most likely we'll be getting tickets to that. So if you're going...
But I mean, we'll go to the opening of an envelope, to be honest. So. I mean, you definitely will. Definitely will.
Just sign me up.
Jason is the biggest social butterfly ever. He's in like all the groups. I'm surprised he actually has any time to edit, to be honest, because his phone just must be going off constantly. I can just see him at his desk with about 19 phones all going off with all the different WhatsApp groups.
Yeah, all my cartel.
So we've got that, but also we're just starting to see like more educators come into the space in terms of, so you've got like Greg Burnett as well from GB Wedding Films, who's started doing the Avanza workshops. His stuff is phenomenal. He is also he's really entertaining as well, and he's a really good speaker. But he's just him starting to do those kind of workshops is just another ticket into, for instance, he's focusing mainly on like the destination kind of stuff. So he's done one already in France. He's got another one coming up in like Como, which he is also doing a giveaway at the moment. So if you're not following Greg from GB Wedding Films, go and enter that competition to win your ticket to go over. But it's stuff like that is just starting to help raise the bar for everybody. And ultimately what all of this does is, if we think about like at the core of it is still, it's the couple and the client, but by consuming all this information and consuming all this education, you will make better wedding films. Therefore, you will, because if we think about what you are delivering, you're delivering a time capsule for that couple that they are probably going to be watching, or hopefully will be watching in 20, 30 years from now. And maybe even longer. So you want to make that the best version possible. And you know, education definitely has a part to play in it.
Yeah, there's that famous saying that a rising tide raises all ships, and if there are people coming out there who are actively sharing their knowledge, for anyone who's been in the industry for a while and anyone coming into the industry, if that's the standard that's being set, then this market is going to completely raise in quality, which ultimately is going to be good for all of us.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited about the shifts just that we're starting to see. Not only that from obviously all these educators coming on, but then like just with couples starting to value video a lot more. It's really, really exciting. And also, a lot of photographers are noticing that as well, because a lot of photographers are then going into the hybrid side of things, which they are then also going to be consuming all this education information in that as well, which is again,
We're not quite in the hybrid era yet, but it's around the corner.
Yeah, it's not far away.
I think the photographers have realized that there's a great opportunity if they can. I mean, it's very difficult. I've tried hybrid in the past, and it is difficult, but there are ways of going about it smartly.
Yeah, hats off to anybody that does it well, because it's not easy to be able to balance. Get the shot that you need, for instance, like for the confetti, and then quickly switch over to video. It's a skill.
It's the key moments. Like during a ceremony, I can imagine. You just have like a 7200 up, and you've got
that's easy.
Yeah, that's easy. So you just have a static, and that's covered. But those moments like the confetti, where you don't know in that moment if there's confetti covering the faces, because that's why they'll just put the shutter down and get their 12 to 20 images a second, because there will be a clean one in there, as there is when we're doing slow motion camera. Yeah. But if you're flicking between it, that is
that's different gravy.
That's so much to handle. Let us know if you are a photographer and you do that and you're listening.
Yeah.
Voice note us your experience of trying this, or because
it just sounds so stressful.
Yeah.
I mean, if I think about like how difficult it can be just to get the shots that we need, as videographers for the film, to then add photo into the mix, I mean, my head would go.
Do you know what I would do actually? I'd have a little phone adapter in the hot shoe. Put that horizontal, put that on slow-mo, and then you've got the shot. It might not be the same quality as a full film, but at least you've got the shot.
Yeah, I mean, you could do. It's just, I mean, phones are getting better, but we're not quite at that, because depth of field and all that. And stuff.
I mean, it's absolutely no comparison.
Yeah.
But at least you get the shot, isn't it? Yeah, you get the shot, yeah.
I mean, you could definitely, if you're adding on like a content creator thing onto your packages, I mean, absolutely do that, but...
Content creators too. Yeah. It's more and more people are coming to this industry, not just for wedding videography. The photographers are coming in for hybrid. We've got content creators coming in and wanting to improve their craft, because I've already seen some content creators producing some really good stuff from the phone. Not just like people walking into a room. They're actually thinking about composition, actively thinking about lighting. I mean, the cameras are powerful enough to create something decent for social media. So,
yeah, there's a few that are like really, really good. So yeah, and going back to the education thing, that these are all people that will be able to benefit from the different parts of education. But then, if we go back to that part of the topic, not only have you got that, but you've also got people that offer mentoring, which I have found really, really useful, just as like a bit of a sense check to like how am I doing, so. I have used Russell Kent Nichols quite a few times just to have a chat and a blather.
Yeah, what did you discuss in your one-to-one?
Just like how, so I asked him to go maybe like watch some of my films, tell me what he liked, maybe what I could improve upon and stuff like that. And just general kind of like chit-chat about just like business and how to run it. I still need to figure out how in the world that he gets the image that he gets out of a Panasonic, because just what he's able to do with that camera, I just am in awe of sometimes. But
is he not using the DJI?
He is. No. He is now. He still uses the Lumix cameras as like he's kind of being C cams, I think. But yeah, I think he's using the which.
That's a beast of a camera. I love it.
I mean, it looks unreal, but I mean the back strain is.
Oh, he's got himself a little
baby carrier thing. Yeah, it was quite funny because when he was saying about it, he was having to explain to his accountant why he was putting that through for the tax thing. I thought that was hilarious. The mentoring is also like a great thing, just as a sense check to how you're doing, and just get another opinion, because it can just be like, because you can also. Because you might have that imposter syndrome. So you might have suffered from imposter syndrome. Like I know we've talked about before. I certainly do quite frequently. And obviously you've said that. So it's good to get somebody else, especially somebody like that's amazing at their craft, like Russell, to go, no, you are actually doing good.
Yeah, I think even if someone doesn't actively advertise mentoring, if you like someone's work, I think the majority of us do like talking about our craft and do like helping other people.
Yeah.
I always encourage anyone to reach out. Like I reached out to people like Bottle Brush from Australia. Like I reached out to them and asked them questions, and they were more than helpful. J and Mac Films did the same for me. They were more than happy to give me advice on what they do, because we're all in the same boat. And I think because we work alone, it can be, you sometimes just ask your friends and family for, what do you think of this? And they're going to, blow the smoke up your arse, aren't they? They are. Everyone is going to say, that was amazing.
Great.
That was great.
So good.
So magical. Because, of course, they're not going to be rude. Or they don't necessarily know because they haven't been looking at the industry standard for a while. They don't really know. It's never going to matter. You're never going to think that you are good enough. No matter how good you get, you're always going to look at someone doing something that's better. So that will always be with you, but you can use that as fuel to make yourself better, to find yourself improvement. If you think you're not good at something, you can actively improve that. And do that by just asking people. I think that's a really good way, because this whole education type market and thing, I think it does get there's a lot of cynics that see it initially and think, can we really benefit from that? What do they know and stuff? And I think it's so worthwhile looking past that, because we're all learning this. Mm-hmm. We're all trying to get better. And I think a lot of people just kind of shy away from it because they think it's,
Yeah, I think a lot of people were like, just selling the snake oil or whatever, you know? And it's like, and this is not like, this podcast is not a podcast about us talking about us selling any kind of like education or whatnot. We just want to get there. What we're trying to say here is that, if you try and look past and do a little bit of research, like there is really, really good stuff out there for people at all different levels, and not to be like massively cynical about some things. Yes, there are some things that maybe like promise the world and, take this course and you will, book $40,000 weddings and stuff like that. And I'm sure there maybe is people that have done it and have succeeded. But yeah, I think just trying to look and see if you can, if you maybe don't want to go on like full on courses or whatever, but like look at other ways that you can do it, like by mentoring or different things like that. Because there's loads of stuff. I mean, there's like Boomer with Multiply Media as well, isn't there? Like with the sound packs and stuff like that he does, which I know like I've seen you do it, and what you can then do to a song to then just completely switch it up.
Shout out incredible. To Multiply Media. If you don't follow them, they're an American couple who are musicians, but they've built sound packs for wedding videographers. So if you use music from like MusicBed, for example, you can actually go in and enhance those songs with drums, with beats. I use their sound design pack, which has got a bunch of risers, impacts. That was through education that I figured out, a way to enhance this just a little bit more is just have that crisp sound design go in behind it and just enhance little bits of scenes. I wouldn't have found that out if I was just staying in my lane and not looking around to think, right, how can I make this from a 9 to a 10? Yeah. Just that I love this, but how do I make it just better?
The secret sauce.
So there's so many people out there that I think can really help you. And we'd love to get them all on here. Everyone, come on board.
No, definitely.
That's another reason why we started this, because
we just want to meet them.
We just want to meet them, we'll talk to them, pick their brain. And I think we've both benefited and talk at length about what we can do to better ourselves. And there's people out there just pouring information onto the internet. So we'd love to introduce you to them all.
So we hope that you have found today's episode interesting, and if you have been on the fence about some education, we would kind of like love to hear your thoughts. So feel free to send us some DMs. Give us your thoughts on education. What do you think about it? I know Jason and I, as we've discussed in this podcast, have benefited massively from it. So we are more advocates of it, but for the right education. We'd love to hear your feedback, so give us your feedback.
Mm-hmm. And if there's anyone in the industry that inspires you or has gone out the way to help you or is just doing a really good job at sharing their knowledge, then we'd love for you to share them with us so that we can take some of that knowledge as well, hopefully speak to them potentially about coming on. We just want to learn from the very best in the industry, and we know you're all out there. So love to hear your feedback on who you think is doing a great job at elevating the industry.
Well, I think that's it for today's podcast. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for listening in.
Thank you so much again, and we'll, as usual, we'll be here next week.
Yeah, keep the voice notes coming in, and if you can, it would be awesome if you could leave us a little 5-star review. I think hopefully by this point it should be up on Apple Podcasts. So hopefully it is. If not, Jason can just scratch this bit out. So
it will be eventually.
God knows. But yeah, till the next one. See you later.
See ya.